Welcome to my space here on YouTube. My name is Jess and this is Knit.Purl.Repeat, where I chat mainly about my knitting. Also included sometimes are spinning, crochet, and sewing. Today I mainly have knitting for you with a little bit of spinning update. So if you'd like to join me for a chat, then please grab a project, get comfortable, and let's get started. This is episode 25. Hello, welcome. It's so good to be back here to sit down and have a visit with you. I'm already tongue-tied. Not sure how this is going to go today. But I'm so glad you could stop by. I hope you got yourself a project or whatever it is you're doing while we chat for a little bit. Today is, oh dear. I know that it's Friday, it's July. The Tour de France is almost over. I was going to record earlier today, but I had to wait for the stage to finish, which it just did. I want to say it's the 25th. Anyway, welcome. It's summertime, right? Well, it's summertime here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I don't know, I've lost track. I hope you've had some time to practice your craft, take care of yourself, that you've been enjoying whatever season it is that you're in. What do I have for you today? I have some finished objects. I'm going to check my notes. I have 4 finished objects. 3 of them are knitting related. Some updates on a couple of works in progress. I do have some new cast-ons, which go along with some partial acquisitions to use up some stash yarn, but I think I'm going to hold off on those until they've made some more progress. There is one that is a sad story, but we'll talk about that later. And that's pretty much it today. I will say there is no sewing content today. Last time I mentioned that I had purchased a kit to make the field bag without really realizing that I don't have the thread I really need for sewing with canvas. I've made a canvas, waterproof wax canvas backpack and had used an upholstery thread in the past. That worked really well. It's a slow process on my home sewing machine, but it still did it with a little assistance for me. But I don't have the right thread. And unfortunately, Joann Fabrics, which was right down the street from my house, no longer exists. So I'm gonna have to find some other sources for that thread. So anyway, that long story is to say there's no sewing content today. I've also lost some fabric. I'm not sure how that happens. I've had this fabric for quite some time, and I'm not sure how it can disappear. Things only go to certain places in my house, but it's in that safe place. So, you know, wherever that is, I'll find it eventually. So today is just knitting, a tiny bit of spinning, and a little bit of another craft, a necessary craft. All right, so let's get started. Let's start off with that first finished object. So I had a saga of trying to find buttons for projects. I don't tend to put buttons on my cardigans. I make the buttonholes and figure, okay, someday maybe if I want buttons, I'll put them on, because I don't tend to close up my cardigans. However, I needed to for my Boxy Raglan cardigan. I wanted to have those buttons there. Couldn't find ones I liked. So I bought a UV resin kit online, and then separately purchased a button mold to make different size buttons. I don't have it here on hand to show you. Anyway, it's not that exciting. But anyway, it was pretty good. My first few buttons were turned out pretty well. And so here they are. So this is, as I showed last time, is my Boxy Raglan cardigan from Locatelli, the pattern. So here are the buttons. So I didn't want the buttons to be the star, and I had in mind wanting to get some sort of clear acrylic buttons with just a little color in them. So I made them. So these are resin, and so they are clear, as you can see here. I put a few speckles of this foil glitter type material that came in the kit. Even though the colors, jars, even though the jars are colored with specific colors, when you actually put the flakes in, they can iridesce different shades. So I ended up taking time trying to pick out the ones that weren't pink. Kind of gave up. I didn't want them super blingy, but just enough to work on my cardigan. So I'm very happy with these. So I do have an extra one that I made by mistake, but I've lost it. So anyway, I have some buttons. And I can make others. These are 1 inch size, which is the largest size in the mold. It is a little bit of a slow process, not too long, only because I can only do one at a time, and then it has to cure under UV light. You can do it under sunlight, and here in Florida, there's ample amounts of that, as long as it's not raining. But it comes with a little UV light kit, so it didn't take too long. I'd say maybe up to 10 minutes per button. That's just because of picking out also the flex that I wanted to put in there, but really easy to do. And yeah, I'm very happy with this. So that's finished object number 1, not knitted object. Throw it over there. Okay. Number 2 is the Alex sweater, a pattern by Libby Jonson. So I've talked about this numerous times, but she is finished. Let me show her to you. There she is. So there's the front. It's meant to give you that illusion of a V in your neck, but without having to have something underneath it. That V is also reflected on the back neck, which is actually where you start the pattern. And then they're also repeated here on the sides, and then they go right down into the 3x3 ribbing along the hem. The only thing that's different, and it's because of me, it's all because of me, is that, oh, that's my hair, is that for the cuff, so you work the sleeve straight. For the cuff, you do an I-cord bind off, and I always find that I do it very tightly, and it's been too tight in the past, so I always remind myself, go up a needle size, so I can still do it kind of tight and tidy, but it's not overly tight. In this case, I should have not have gone up a size, because even though you do some decreases here before the end, it goes down over my wrist, and so what am I trying to say? Let me try to show it to you. Hold, please. Okay, I just thrown it on. It's not quite on right, but just to show the sleeve should really kind of do this, so you get this nice sort of poof, but mine doesn't. It goes down to there. So yeah, some ends still sticking out. So I'm not sure if I'm going to undo it and make it tighter or just leave it. I'm gonna wear it for a bit and see what I think about it. I don't really feel like ripping them out right now. I can show you the length, I suppose, while it's on there. Yeah, it doesn't match my shorts. But that's the fit of it, including the back. And that side feature. I really love the way this shoulder fits. So you pick up stitches around the whole armhole, but you do short rows across here to build the cap until you get to almost the underarm, and then finish that and then just knit straight down. So I did these sleeves at the same time on a magic loop style, so just like knitting socks 2 at a time, I did the sleeves at the same time, so I didn't have to keep track of rows and make sure I copy it, because even with stitch markers and counting, I can get it wrong. It's amazing. I have that special power of not being able to count. So I love it, and this yarn is delicious. Now I'm getting too warm, so I'm going to put you on hold again. So that was finished object number 2. Number 3, oh, of course, is Rita. So Rita is a slipover or vest, another pattern by Libby Jonson of Truly Myrtle. And I will link all these patterns down below and my Ravelry project pages. So you'll find that in the description box for this episode, as well as all my contact information. So this is the Rita slipover. Pull her back a bit. I knit her using 3 strands of yarn held together. It's meant to be knit with a bulky weight yarn. So whether that's one bulky weight yarn or several strands held together. I did initially, I'm gonna get flat. I did initially swatch holding 3 strands of fingering weight and a lace weight mohair, just to get an idea of what I might put together. But in the end, I decided to get a lace weight Surreal Alpaca silk instead, so it's a little bit fluffier, and then just hold 2 fingering weight yarns. So it gives me a bit more of this open gauge. Think of it more like a Lento or the Wilfrida, or even the Ranunculus if you've knit those. So not, see-through and gappy, but very nice. I'll put a picture of me wearing it up here so you can see what it looks like on me. I knit size 5 and I did block it to measurements. Now I didn't knit, I don't know if the neck is as deep here as was in the pattern. As I was knitting it, the pattern has you knit to a certain number of rows or to a certain length. So Libby does give you both measurements. So if your row gauge is off, you still have the information based on your knitting here, how far to knit it. And I thought I reached the length for the fronts 4 rows beforehand. So I stopped, and actually I really like the depth. I don't think it's not super scooped. It comes out really nicely. Hopefully you saw in the pattern where that sits. So what did I use? Main reason I cast this on is I thought, oh, a vest, you can use different yarns. I wonder if I have yarns that would actually go together to make something, right? So I end up having a lot of single skeins or those things that just don't really go with anything else. So I thought, let me see what I have and how I could get to that weight. I knew I did not have enough DK of any particular yarn or color to have enough. I think you only needed a little over, just under 400 yards for each of the 3, each of the strands, like the total length for my size was maybe like estimated at 365 or something like that, but less than 400. So I knew fingering weights held together would work, or the lace weight. I didn't have, as I mentioned, more than 1 hank of a DK weight, which normally that length is only 200 something yards to 300. So it dawned on me that maybe this would be the project to use for my July Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad sock set, because it is this color here, which is one of the ones I used. So you can see it's this light, sort of creamy white with specks of different blues in it. So let me find the tag. I do have it here. So it is from the Farmer's Daughter Fibers, and it is on their Elkhorn sock base. It's the July colorway. The name is Sights on the Horizon. Let me show you the inspiration art for July is this one. This month's yarn was about recognizing the good days and looking forward to the next. And again, light colors, full socks for me, not a good idea. So this worked out best for me. I held that with 1 strand of Fiber MacGyver. You can't see it. What's the point of that? Fiber MacGyver on their Dune base. This should be, it was focusing this morning, which is 100% Shanaco wool. The label's not right. I bought this at Rhinebeck, New York Sheep and Wool Festival last year, and I know they said, oh, ignore the label's not right. And I did look it up. It is a 3-ply, it's 100 grams, but it comes in 450 yards per 100 grams, or that's 411 meters according to the website. So this is the colorway Dune. So again, it's sort of almost a natural color, not quite to the oatmeal, but still kind of warmer to hold with this one. And then I had another color similar to this from a Spabs that I was thinking of holding with it, but as I said, I took it out. I still would have got gauge with it. It would just been a more dense fabric. And I held it with a strand of this lovely baby Surrey alpaca. No, it wasn't baby. Surrey alpaca and lace, silk lace weight. Oh goodness. You probably know what this is. I'm just going to stop with that. Let me find the label for you. That I bought from Indie Dyer. So it comes from this shop. I found on Etsy, Dactyl. So, oh, it is baby Surrey alpaca and silk. Oh, I was correct. There's the information from the label. And I came out with this glorious item. It is a bit slinky. I kept sliding off my leg when I was knitting it. You can see that little bit of halo hopefully on there, right? So I like that, especially with alpaca, is that it doesn't irritate me like some mohairs do. And it's a little warmer, it's a little plumper, and it gives you that nice little fuzz without being crazy fluff. And I really love that the speckles are still coming through. I also love this texture on the side here. So what you do is you cast on for the back at the neck, and you work the neck downwards. So you have this piece here, basically, knit, and then you put that on hold, and you come back and you pick up stitches along these shoulder seams here, and you knit the front, one side, put on a hold. This is how it is. Do the same on both sides, right? So you work the front of one shoulder, wait, work the other side, wait, cast on some stitches under here, connect it together, and knit down, and then eventually you join it all together to knit in the round. So there are two versions of this pattern. One is the cropped version, which is essentially what this is. But hopefully in the picture you saw it's not super cropped. You can always lengthen it as well. I did make the ribbing longer in the pattern. It's only about 1¼ inches, I think. And I did over 2.5, something like that, to give that length, a little bit more length for me from the underarm. The holes, because you can also adjust if you, the arm side depth, how deep you want that, right? It will be determined by how far down you knit each of the fronts before you join the round, but of course make sure it's the same as what you did on the back. So this little pattern stops here. I think you could probably continue it down into this if you wanted to. I think in some of the sizes it might. Oh, the other size is more of a tunic length. That one has, what's different is you do a split hem, and then you have this really deep, I think it's 3.5 or so inches of what looks like a broken rib pattern as a split hem. So that's the other option in the pattern instructions. Then you just pick up and work your ribbing. So this is just 1x1 ribbing on the shoulders and around the neck. And Libby gives you numbers, ratios, but says it doesn't really matter the total number as long as it's an even number or whatever it might be. And then you bind off tightly. So she says in the pattern, bind off tightly. I think since this is meant to have positive ease, that it's stretchy enough, but it doesn't get blown out. And I like it because the hole's so big, you don't need that stretch. So I just bound off a regular style where you knit the 2 stitches and then pass the 1 stitch over, knit the next one, pass the stitch over, and just did that all the way across. Normally that's too tight of a bind off, but she said bind off tightly, So I did that one and it worked out really well. So yeah, that's Rita by Libby Jonson. And it took me 5 days. Not 5 consistent days, but 5 days. That's it to make this. So it's a great way, I think, to, if you need, can use this sort of item to use up those random bits, skeins of yarn that you have to get you to the gauge or the fabric for the pattern. They're worked on US 10.5 needles, which I forget the size here. It's not 8mm because I used US 11 because I was using wood needles, and I always have to go up a size when I use wood because otherwise I get tighter gauge. I think the US 11s are 8mm, so it might be 6mm up to 8, but I'll link the pattern below as well. This would be a great thing for project item for gift knitting as well. I think some people are up to like 5 or 7 of these already in the knit along group. There you go. All right, last on my list is somebody who's missing and I have to go get them. Okay, my last finished object is my gnome for July, and ta-da, here he is. This is Nolan. So this is a pattern by Sarah Shira of Imagined Landscapes. It's from the book The Gnomes of Grimblewood that I've shown before. I chose to do him in sort of colors of the flag since it was my July gnome. So in the pattern, Nolan has the striped hat and striped body, as well as the curly hat and the curly beard. But I chose then to do it not in this, really wanting it to definitely look like a flag, but in some leftover yarn I had here from, I'll put all the yarns up here. Anyway, leftover yarn up here. So this is sort of purplish red with cream colored, natural colored stripes. And then I did his body. I know this is Rambler from the Woolly Thistle, but I can't remember the colorway. No, almost came to me. Don't have it. And instead of doing stripes, I just did the little lice stitch, eyeballing it to just have it kind of spread out somewhat evenly across here, but offset from the previous stripe or row that it occurred in. Then you finish them, so it's in this color. This is what I used for all the beigey colors in here. Actually, I used a different yarn for the nose and for the hands. And do I point out my mistake? You might see it. Typically when you do the gnomes, you make their arms in the same color as the clothing for the body, but Nolan really liked this red color and he wanted it to look like he had, you know, a shirt underneath something. That's the story we're going with. Anyway, there he is. I made his beard gray. You do a little loop and then he's just holding it on his hand. And so he's the newest member of the gnome family. And for the gnome make along that Sarah is hosting on Instagram and in her Ravelry group. So that is my last of the finished objects. First up in my whips section, I will say that I am working on a lingering whip, but I just didn't feel like working on it on the hem, but it's moving along. I will show you that one hopefully soon. Just not interested. So here are the ones I did work on. First up is my first sock of the Froze Shorties. Whoops. This is a pattern, one of the newest patterns, maybe the newest pattern from Nancy Wheeler, who is Knit Sip Happy. I will link her YouTube channel below. I chose to use some Miss Babs yarns that I frogged from my Geo Gradient shawl that I gave up on twice now for various reasons we're not going to go into, but yeah, good use of the yarn, the Froze Shorties. So I thought, okay, we'll go some sort of rose-ish wine colored theme. So I'll put the color names up here on the screen, probably, because I don't remember what they're called. It is a toe-up sock pattern. I modified mine by increasing so that I had 68 stitches. My foot size is really between 64 and 72, so I thought I'd try the 68, and it's worked out really well. So all I did was, I think I continued for the large size, start with the medium, continued the increases for the large so that I had 2 extra stitches on each needle, or 4 extra, right? 64 to 68 is 4 total. And then just follow the rest of the sock pattern. So I just made those extra stitches. I just added them to the end. You know, on here on the first needle, it's fine because you do just work knit at the beginning of the chart. So it is the charted pattern. I will show you here what it looks like so far. So there is the foot of the sock. So this is not blocked because I just finished it this morning. But there's the pattern. So you have this little 1/1 cables going in 2 different directions. And then you have this lace section in the center. So the chart is a 4-row repeat, where only 2 of those rows you're doing any kind of special stitches. So really easy. And I find that I can work these 1/1 left and right cross without cables, without a cable needle, just the order rearrange stitches or the order you want to knit them in. Nancy does provide a video tutorial on how she does it. I find it works. I do it slightly differently than Nancy does, only because I realized as a continental knitter, so I hold the yarn in my left hand, it was easier for me to do it just slightly differently. But the video is there for you if you need visual aid on that. Also, okay, I'll get to another video tutorial in a minute. And then you just follow Nancy's formula using your gauge and your foot size to calculate when to begin the gusset increases. So I think for me, I knit the foot to about 5.5 inches and then do the gusset increases. And then you change in this pattern, you change to contrasting color, work the heel flap with short rows, and then you do the, that's not the heel flap, that's the heel turn. And then the heel flap, here's a slip stitch heel flap, and then you resume in your regular color. So the whole time you're only doing that pattern on the front of the sock and stockinette on the bottom. Work this nice little twisted rib cuff. And then there's also another video tutorial for this bind off that creates this little frilly bit at the top. I was thinking of not doing that, but when I got to here and I looked at other people's pattern finished project photos on Ravelry, the words are not wording today. Some people had done that, had just said, oh, I'm just going to stop there. It's fine, looks like a sock, but I thought, yeah, adding those extra few rows and then binding off in the main color, I think really just balances it out nicely. You know, Nancy knows what she's doing. But I mean, make it your own, right? It's your sock. You don't have to follow what Nancy does in that pattern, but makes it easy for you to just follow what someone else has written out for you. So that's the first one done. For a shorty sock, this took me a long time, and it's not the pattern, it's my brain, and I messed this up a few times. I think it's the pool knitting. I was just enjoying too much listening to an audiobook while walking around or floating in the pool. So that's what I'm going to blame it on. So the Froze Shorties, pattern by Nancy Wheeler. My other work in progress is a bit of a sad story. It's what I really wanted to work on, and it's why I think some of these other projects have taken the back seat, because I love working on it until a tragic incident occurred. One of the worst sounds I think a knitter can ever hear, I'm trying to pick it up, oh, that's what I lost, is working with, working with wooden needles. These are my Luca needles. They're on a little swivel cord. These work really well. I like these needles, and it's the first one that has done this to me. yeah. It was in my left hand and snap. I just was knitting, not any tighter or anything, I think, than ever. And I just did one thing, held it, and heard pop. And yeah. So, just had to go on hold. What am I making? I'm making the Hawthorne Tank, a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, using this cotton viscose yarn that I got from Pan Banged Knits. Let's see if it shows up better back here, on local yarn shop day. I've never worked with this yarn and I thought I'd give it a try. It's a really nicely done pattern. You know, it's easy to follow. You have these simple cables every so many rows. I don't know what that is, maybe 6. The center lace panel. The only thing that's a different stitch if you're used to doing cables and lace but may haven't done it are the wrapped stitches. There's no video, I don't think there are any videos or tutorials on some of these things for directly linked in the pattern, but I may be wrong. I know that on a Caitlin Hunter's YouTube video, there's often some tutorials. I'm not sure if they're new. I'm not sure of a lot of things. I'm not really helping you, am I? Anyway, I just looked at, I didn't know if I was supposed to work those wraps loosely or not because it didn't really say in the pattern. So I went back to Ravelry, looked at people's photos and saw that they had done them tightly, looked at Caitlin's project photos, pattern photos. Okay, yeah, wrap it tightly. So it's not a loose wrap. You do want them wrapped tightly. And so this is the front. So it's the front side. So I started the back, was happily working along until the snap occurred. I don't have any other wood needles in this size. I found that certain brands broke really easily, so I stopped using them. I've been trying these Luca needles, which I really like, have enjoyed them, but I don't have any other interchangeable sets. So I decided to go online, look for some tips to go with a cable that I got when I was in Ireland, but that version of the needles I can't get in the US. I can get them in the US, but I have to buy them from like Hobie or what's the other company? There's another company that you can get, Linda Hobby, where you can get things from Denmark really fast and cheap and shipped to the US. So I didn't feel like doing that. So I just shopped around and from a shop I purchased from before in Oregon online, I'm trying out some new to me wood needles. It's a sort of an introductory set. And so I decided instead of paying $12 just to get one needle, that I would just increase that a little bit and get a set, right? So that's what I've done. So hopefully they work out. Normally I use ChowGoo, my metal tips, love them. But I find, especially working with yarns that might be a little slippery or splitty, that working with the wood, I have better tension. And I didn't want this to hurt my hands, and they actually didn't feel too bad. Although I realized I did need to take a break. I mean, I was gung-ho in this. I was having so much fun with this pattern, but I probably needed to break and stretch a little bit more because since I put it down, I have found that my thumb and this area are a bit sore. So not that breaking a needle was a good thing for my hand. It's not good for my bank account, but you know, it forced me to stop and take a break. I realized that I completely neglected to update you on my spinning. So for those of you who are interested in spinning or are into the fleece or any of that, this is my update. So this is what's left of my braid. It's a bit softer than this. The colors are not coming out right, but whatever. That's what's left of this blend of merino, alpaca, camel, and silk. And so here is what I have so far, knitting it on my electric e-wheel 6. I spun one night, I was spinning and spinning and couldn't figure out why it wasn't taking up the yarn. Like, what's going on? Adjust the tension band, adjust. Well, this had broken, but it's the first time I've had to change it. So it's just cotton, the tension band. So it was very frayed when I started. I thought, it's fine. So it broke, but easy fix, cut it, tie it back on, and we're back in action. So I'm past the halfway mark. I've maybe 25, 30 grams left of it. It's kind of hit or miss with with the plies in here, so I don't know what's going to happen with this. It's meant to practice and then hopefully just do it as a single, so we shall see. But the Tour de France ends soon, so this will also slip on over into the Tour de France Femme when the women start the race. All right, that's my update. So that's on hold. I did get some yarn stash enhancement so I could use up some yarn I bought for another project that I've now frogged, and I've started a different one, a couple of projects, I think. Yeah. So we'll cover those when the materials arrive, or at the point where I can show you something. I'll talk about it. I did get an acquisition relating back to socks, and this one is a book, and it is this one from Denise DeSantis, known as Earth Tones Girl on all the social media and here on YouTube. So Denise has published a book, and I think this was a pre-order, so I got it from Denise's shop online, and I'll link both of those down below. So I got a signed copy from Denise. I was so excited to support her. This is Denise's video, so this incorporates a mixture of her free tutorials on YouTube on learning how to knit socks, in addition to some of her sock patterns, of course, tips and information about learning to knit. So Denise does teach knitting, and so I wanted to get this. It's nice to have it all in one place. It does mean that some of the patterns of hers that I purchased, maybe one or two, are in here again, but that's fine. It's all in one place. It's a great resource. I'm adding to my library. As I think I was saying before I cut myself off and digressed, Denise's book here is really what helped me learn to knit top-down socks by doing her No Fear Shorties class online. I had taught myself to knit toe up, 2 at a time, from a book years ago. I think it was 2008 or 2010, somewhere in there. And then once the kids came, I guess I just didn't knit socks. And so I'd always done toe up, and I had been working on a pair of toe up socks, and for my husband, and they weren't going right. Something was wrong with it. I think it's because I put them away for like a year and a half and decided to take them on vacation and finish them. I basically ripped the socks out and started over because I found Denise's class on YouTube just by searching, and that was it. I started knitting cuff down. Now I do cuff down and toe up, and I like both now because toe up, I finally figured out the right fit for the foot length. That's the main reason I didn't do toe up for a long time, is they just kept coming out too long or too short in the foot. And also my bind offs at the cuff weren't very good. Anyway, Denise covers both cuff down and toe up in this book. So I'm really excited for her. Congratulations, Denise. And I look forward to using tips and things in here, and some of the patterns that I don't own that are in here as well. So that is the only acquisition I have to share with you today. So thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you can find some time to enjoy your craft over the weekend or over the next few days, every day. And until I see you next time, take care.